Rashad Muhammad, better known as Rish or Mr. India, is living a life that so many of us only dream of. A professional wrestler and a successful entrepreneur, Rish is truly the embodiment of the phrase grab life by the horns. As a teenager, Rish had his first taste of the wrestling arena and was hooked instantly. He knew he had found his calling, and without giving in to his fears, he pursued his dreams with all he had. But Rish is also no stranger to challenges. At the height of his career, he got the news that his mother was suffering from a malignant tumor. A shattering news by any standard. But for a man like Rish, it turned into his greatest inspiration. He decided he needed to do more about educating people on health and leading a healthy lifestyle. Today, Mr. India runs his own fitness studio known for healing people from the inside out. A gentle giant in his own right, his clients lovingly call him Coach. Rish, Mr. India, this larger-than-life figure is truly an inspiration because he teaches us to rise through challenges no matter how big and turn them into purpose through unwavering determination.
When I'm wrestle as Mr. India for All-Star Wrestling, and it's cool because I wear face paint, but the nice thing is at least I'm a good guy. Mr. India, right? So he's kind of like the top baby face in the company. So that kind of makes it not too bad. But I mean, you know what? I'm from Fiji. So a lot of Fijians, we're just all happy kind of peeps anyways, right? So when you say that, if you go to Fiji, there's all these big dudes and walking around, but you walk up to them, they'll give you the biggest smile ever. Even when they come up to you, they smile with their heart type thing, right? But I mean, for me, I was very blessed. I had the best parents growing up in the world. My grandfather was just fantastic, right? So when I hang around with my parents and my granddad like this and just kind of see the way they were with people, I don't have a choice. This is the way I have to be, right?
I agree. And it's...
I came here from Fiji. I think I was not even a year old. We moved to Edmonton. And so, my poor parents, they haven't even seen snow, so they get off the plane and there's snow there, right? So it's oh yeah, good times. But of course, we all come here, you want to get that better life, right? So my father was always working, but me and my mom, we were best friends, right? So she took great care of me. But the one thing that we always did, Ahmed, we always went to wrestling shows. And, back then it was called Stampede Wrestling. Out in Edmonton, Stampede, Bret Hart, all these guys, right, that you see in WWE now, a lot of these guys came from Stampede Wrestling. And so every weekend, that's what we did. And when I went to my first wrestling show, that's when I knew I wanted to do this. And I was just a kid. This was it. I want to do this. And it got to the point where, I would get so excited at these shows. All these bad guys would be beating up on the good guy, 4 or 5 of them. And, nobody's saving him. So here's me, at 2 years old, trying to, get in the ring. And I got my parents and all these folks that are sitting beside my parents. I don't even know my parents and me. They're having to help them hold me back because I'm taking off my belt. Chordo, I need to get in there. You know what I mean? This type of thing, right? So I had the passion way back then. And then fast forward, I went to my first wrestling show right here in New Westminster, BC. And it was called ECCW, Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling, which is being run by my wrestling promoter, the guy that actually trained me, Gorgeous Michelle Starr. So I saw my first wrestling show there, and Ahmed, I just absolutely fell in love with it, right? I mean, the wrestling was, okay. The last couple of matches were awesome, but what it was for me was the fans. The fans were just absolutely amazing, the environment, the atmosphere. So I walked up to them afterwards, and I'm hey, I want to do this, talk to the referee. And, so they took me into the wrestling school. Gorgeous Michelle Starr trained me along with Adam Dykes and, a group of other wrestlers. And to this day, 20 years later, we're still best friends. But I had my first match after 6 weeks. That was in Courtenay, BC. And it was fantastic. And I haven't looked back since. There's so many modalities of training out there. And, having said that, there's so much confusion out there. So, I was telling you before and telling others, me, I used to be one of those guys that, bodybuilding, right? In the magazines, it says, yeah, do it this way, right? Eat these foods, or more importantly, take these supplements, take this protein, pre-workout, post-workout, during workout, whatever, during your sleep, all this crazy stuff, right? I used to be one of those guys. And then, I had some challenges with my mom, and they found a tumor in her head, and basically, they said, hey, we're going to have to get rid of this tumor, we're going to have to cut it out, right? And if they were going to cut it out, it was a 50-50 chance of either she's going to be paralyzed on one side of her body or death, all right? So because of that, I'm kind of hey, wait a second, I don't like either one of these options. right? So I started doing my research and I learned about alkalizing. I learned about hormonal optimization. And anyways, to make a long story short, we switched up my mom's diet, had her drink special water, doing the right sleep, had her meditating, doing all this cool stuff. And then basically we're able to shrink her tumor enough just with radiation, and she didn't have to get the surgery. All right. So why I'm telling you this story is this. Everything that I learned from that, Ahmed, that's what we're doing now. All right. So that's what we're doing now. So I kind of switched my entire way of thinking, like from everything that I've learned in my training courses, and I just switched it all up. And now it's all natural, and like this is what I've been doing like forever now, because this was years ago. Right. And so I've got friends down in California, they're trainers, and friends in Arizona. So like, we're always kind of talking to each other and like what else is out there. Mm-hmm. So I mean, the thing with me and kettlebells is I would kind of consider myself like a biohacker. Right? So that's a biohacker, right? Yeah. So the nice thing with kettlebells, it works everything. All right? So I mean, not only are you going to look good, more importantly, you're going to feel good. And the way that I've designed Koyabell, it's done in such a way where it's going to increase your levels of growth hormone, GH. That's the one that's your anti-aging hormone. It's going to increase testosterone, right? They call that the male hormone, right? But guess what? Living in North America, we got challenges. We got way too much estrogen. So where I'm going with this, it's actually going to drop your estrogen substantially. And living in North America, men, women, we got way too much estrogen. Healthy levels is one thing. When you have too much, guess what? That causes body fat. The more body fat you have, that causes disease. So kettlebells, going back to it, it takes care of everything. And honestly, it's the fastest way to get your health back out of anything else that's out there. Absolutely. It doesn't just bridge the gap. I mean, it just takes that gap and drops an elbow on it, right? I mean, like I've got a close friend of mine, like, him and his wife, they're both fitness models, and, and like we're all shocked because a couple of years ago, he actually ends up in the hospital. And like, and again, like, all these supplements, all this isn't good. I mean, like, yeah, you'll look good, but homie, you shouldn't be in the hospital laying in the bed for like, 5 days, almost like losing your life, right? And that's how close it came with my good friend, right? So that's the difference with us. Like, you're coming in here, and I believe in functional fitness, okay? Because like when you're at the gym and you're just doing all this bodybuilding type stuff, you're working on what's called cosmetic muscle, all right? The show muscle. Right. Whereas like, you do Koyabell, right? Now you're going to have that same show muscle, which is going to actually look better, but more importantly, you're going to have that go muscle, all right? You got this functional strength. You can function every single day at that high level. So whether you're picking up your baby, changing a tire, heck, running away from a mugger or taking care of a mugger, you're ready, all right? Anything that comes up, so there you go. The pains that you may or may not be living with, we can take care of that. So when you're training with kettlebells, like, the Koyabell way, I mean, we get rid of so many injuries. Like the first thing that we take care of is back injuries. Second is shoulder. Third is knee. All right. So now there's actually a lot of chiropractors and physiotherapists that'll actually be using kettlebells with their patients. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, right? So I mean, like, this is where it's going now. So I mean, like, yes, they're still using these electronic muscle stimulators and all that. Yes. But you know what? When you can actually grab a bell, swing it, and work on that functional strength and heal yourself that way, I think that's pretty damn cool. Like I did online currency trading for years, and that was my gig. And I didn't really want to work because, I mean, like, before I did the currency trading, I was doing like the personal training thing. I was doing like general insurance. I was doing 2-3 different things, and the money was okay, right? But then I started currency trading with the online foreign exchange currency tradings and gold, and I was just doing very, very well with that. But then the challenge was the markets went sideways, essentially, when Obama came into administration. And then so, like, even then I didn't really want to work, right? But then I started, like, doing a little bit of training here and there. And then one of my clients helped her lose over 30 pounds. And then that's where I met my partner, Chelsea, right? So she pretty much said to me, hey, you know what? Do this with the rest of our yoga teachers. Mm-hmm. So I did that with them. And then next thing you know, all their students were like, hey, our teachers are just looking ripped. I want to do this too, right? So Chelsea pretty much came to me and she says, hey, you know what? You need to start running classes. You told me in the past that, this is what you want to do. And it's true. This is what I've always wanted to do. But she's the one that gave me the push. So if it wasn't for Chelsea, there wouldn't be any Koyabell. But I mean, like, so as far as challenges go, I mean, like, it was in the beginning quite a bit because at the time, like, I was pretty much just going through my divorce and, things were happening. So, of course, like, when all that happens, like, you got money challenges. And this is something that I wasn't used to because as a currency trader, I was, like, used to, like, never having or always having money, right? And then, like, when you go through the divorce and all that, and my whole thing is, like, I didn't really want to ask anybody for anything. I've always been like, just do it myself, right? So we started Koyabell that way, and then we had to move around. There were some challenges in the beginning. There was some jealousy with people that were renting to us, and I'm not gonna really talk about that because I'm not gonna give them that. But having said that, it was a learning experience, right? Because I've always kind of been, told that, what, Rish, you're too nice, you're too nice, you're too nice, and I guess sometimes you get kind of walked over a little bit, right? But at the same time, I'm not gonna really change who I am, right? I mean, if you care for people, you care for people, right? And then sometimes you kind of get beat up a little bit, but it's our job to dust yourself off and get back up. But to make a long story short, I mean, we're very blessed now. It's 4 years later. We've got a beautiful studio in Uptown New West, and the best part is we've got the best students, and I really think that your vibe does attract your tribe. And you've been here, Ahmed, you've seen it. There's so much love in this place. It's amazing. There's things that you're supposed to do, and there's things that you're meant to do. And I truly believe that I was meant to do this because when you have the privilege of going in and actually, helping somebody and pretty much change their lives, that's a tremendous honor. That's a tremendous privilege, to be able to do that, right? And to you do that with one person, now you do that with 10, you do that with 100, and then eventually thousands, right? Now you actually have, it just grows, and you have the ability to actually help make a positive impact and change the world. And that's what my goal is, right? So I mean, even from day one, I knew because even when I was currency trading, one of the biggest challenges is folks financially, of course. You got all these parents, they have that second job, some have that third job. They don't even get to hang out with their kids, and now the kids are out doing who knows what, and it's not a good thing, all right? So I mean, it's the same thing with Koyabell, right? So it's kind of one of those things where if we kind of get them a little bit healthier, they're not as stressed. And now, maybe they might, take the jump and maybe I'll start up my own business too, or do something different where I can quit that second job, third job, and you know what I mean? So with Koyabell, it's one of those things where a lot of positivity, a lot of love, but then that translates into every aspect of your life. So the strength that we give you in here, the toughness, you take it out to the real world, right? And then amazing things happen that way too. So before I was helping people make money, now it's kind of more of let's get you healthy, but at the same time, get empowered to where you can actually do what you're meant to do. The first thing is you have to have that passion for whatever it is. All right. So I mean, whether it's photography, whatever your interest is, right? You got to have that passion first and foremost. I've always had a passion for health and fitness and, making myself better, but not necessarily by working harder, but if you work hard and smart, now you got a pretty good combination. Right? So that's the thing. You got to have that passion first, I believe, because once you have that unbridled passion, nothing will stop you. And the second part is you got to really have that compassion, with the folks that you're going to be working with.
Passion and compassion.
Absolutely.
Love
Absolutely. Right? So especially as a coach and when we're in here, right? So I mean, I could be training you and you're here doing a group class, right? But I mean, you might have had a bad day. You were at work, issues, challenges. I'm not going to just be giving you the gears, come on, let's go on. And what? My job is to recognize what's going on and give it to you in a positive way. All right. You got this, brother. Here we go. Right. So this is what you got to recognize too. And this is what you don't get at a gym. For anybody starting a business, absolutely. No matter what industry it is, right? You know what? It's be with the people, be a part of the people, be a servant to the people. You know what I mean? Don't think, oh, it's my business, I'm the leader, this my way or the highway type thing. You know what I mean? No, you're here to serve. All right? Once you help somebody else and they actually see the difference, they feel the difference, and now their life has been positively impacted, guess what? We've got so many of our students, it's not like we have a lot of money or anything. We're just running, right? I'm just being, telling you the honest truth on it. We're running, we're more than getting by, but at the same time, we're not whoa, way up there, right? Yet. Okay. But the best part is we've got a great team, and our team is our students. So many of our students volunteer on various different levels, and you know what? This isn't Rish's place. This is our place. All right. We've got so many of our students that have keys, and they come in and they'll train after hours. You know what I mean? But that's the trust that we have because it's our dojo. It's our Koyabell. You know what I mean? KoyabellFitAtHome.com. All right. We want people to be doing this at home. All right. And then basically just charge a small monthly fee. But at least this way, we can start teaching them, pretty much get them into shape first, get them feeling really good. But then slowly we start building up the numbers. All right. And my goal is to have 10,000 folks doing Koyabell Fit at home. All right, so they're swinging the bell at home. They're doing their thing. But now once you have 10,000, Ahmed, now we have a voice. All right, we can create change. Like, once we launch online, the Koyabell movement, and this, I just want to spread the word. Like, you know what? Everything that we're taught, this whole, like, going to the gym and doing it this way, just go simple, go natural. And, like, let's get off the medications and let's be healthy the right way. And the rest will just be happy. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it so much. Thank you. See you again soon.